Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Social Media Manager for HAR. I am joined this morning by Belinda Everett. Welcome, Belinda.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here. Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. Before we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, obviously,
Yes.
but before we get into all of that, if you could just start out by introducing yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
Certainly. As I introduce myself, Belinda Everett, and I am the housing chair for the NAACP Houston branch. And in that role, I support and chair a committee for all housing advocacy to include fair housing, increasing homeownership among minority communities, as well as just providing resources and access to information as it relates to securing homeownership.
That's wonderful. And it is the anniversary of
Yes.
Fair Housing this month.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's wonderful. So I'm familiar with the NAACP, but I wasn't aware of the community outreach that you guys do in relation to homeownership. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly. The NAACP, as well as being the oldest and largest civil rights organization in the country, we also chair and support many different advocacies, including housing, environmental climate justice, criminal justice reform, education, economic development. And in fact, we have over 20 committees that actually support different areas of social justice and just human rights and human life advocacy.
Wow, and that's just here in Houston.
That's right here in Houston.
Wow.
Yes.
So you guys have a program called Homes for Houston. Can you tell us about that?
Certainly. Homes for Houston. Last year, we celebrated 50 years of the Fair Housing Act being brought into law on April 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And as a member of the organization, I've had a passion about housing because it's been the bulk of my career for more than 30 years. I started out in the 80s as a child worker. That's a joke. But I started out, believe it or not, in the 80s, working for a mortgage company, typing foreclosure letters. And that was my introduction into the industry, seeing the downside of it. But throughout my career, had the opportunity to experience and work in all phases of home acquisition, the real estate, and the lending side of the business. So with that background, as I worked through the association, I looked at the statistics from the Census Bureau last year that showed an alarming decline in minority homeownership throughout the country. In fact, the trend had been such that it was declining 20% year over year for the last 5 years. So I spoke with the leadership, Yolanda Smith, who is the executive director there, and Dr. James Douglas, the president, and talked about the need to look at homeownership as a civil rights issue here in the city of Houston. And when you looked at the fact that those statistics, along with the devastation of Harvey, as an organization, we couldn't just stand by.
Right.
We then, from the statistics, looked at how we could best reach and serve the community. And we created the Homes, at the time, it was called the Homes for Christmas housing initiative, because we were actually giving a house away last year. And so we titled the program Homes for Christmas, but it's actually a 3-part program where we looked at the 3 pillars of just owning a home, or the foundational principles of home ownership. So we looked at education, the retention of existing communities, and what would drive investment in those communities. And from that came up with a program where we would go out and provide homebuyer education, but not just homebuyer education to prospective homeowners, but also try to reach existing homeowners with tips and education and resources that would help retain.
Yeah.
And we don't just believe in home ownership as it is per se, but sustainable home ownership.
You know, we hear about that a lot with, we've got into the home, but now we can't afford it.
Correct.
Yeah, right. So that's very important.
Yes.
This program, Homes for Houston, is this unique to Houston? Off camera, you told me there's 2,200 different branches of the NAACP, but is this program unique to Houston?
Right now, it is Houston based, but because we were so successful in our inaugural year last year, we do have the interest of several markets. Our Atlanta branch has reached out and Our branch in Colorado Springs has reached out. So the word has spread. And when you look at what we did in our inaugural year, more than 200 people completed the program last year. And it was in our infancy. So it was, we had some hiccups. But of that number, in the first 6 months of the program, we had 22 new homeowners. And by the end of the year, we had an additional 51 folks in process, either, waiting to close or in underwriting. So the effectiveness of the curriculum, the folks that actually volunteer to instruct and teach the classes, it was there. The results were there for us.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
You actually teach some of those classes, don't you?
Absolutely, I do. Like I said, I have a varied history in lending and real estate. So a couple of years ago, I was fortunate enough to have been able to retire, and I didn't want to sit around idly, and began my volunteer work, and of course, of trying to apply my skills to help someone.
Very good. So when is the next homebuyer education course?
Well, that's great. The next class is available Saturday
this
morning,
Saturday.
this Saturday, April 27th. It's actually an 8-hour class.
Mhm.
And we take people we say we'd like to take you from class to keys. We actually have 9 banks that sponsor our program, in addition to some of your wonderful HAR members that are there and have dedicated their resources and time to promote the class and to actually teach the real estate segment.
Okay.
The class itself is 7 modules long. We have a lending module, a down payment assistance module. We actually have an entire real estate module that explores everything from the sales contract to the role of the title company.
Wow.
So it's very comprehensive. We want to prepare people, like I said, not just to get into the home, but to maintain and sustain the home.
Absolutely. I do see in the comments a couple people couldn't hear us. So if you missed any questions, we're good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry about that. If you missed any of the comments that Belinda just made about the class that's actually this Saturday, feel free to just ask those questions in the comments. And if you have any other questions for Belinda, feel free to type those into the comments as well. So what is the cost of this course?
That's the really good news. The cost is free.
Okay.
The free.
It's wonderful.
So because we, and you're there all day, so we don't, want you to starve. We want you focused. So not only is the class free, we provide 2 meals. We give you breakfast and lunch to get you through the day, and all the materials, all the handouts, the booklets, everything that you need is provided for you free of charge.
Mhm.
We only ask that you come ready to learn and to be committed to getting into that home. We want to see you in the home.
Now, is this class just for first-time home buyers?
That's interesting because, if you look at the definition of a first-time home buyer, HUD says you're a first-time home buyer if you haven't owned a house in the last 5 to 7 years. A lot of lenders treat it that way as well. So if you've not owned a home, or if you've owned a home in the past and you want to try again, it's open to you.
Okay, very good. What about our realtor members? I mean, could they come and take this course just so they have the knowledge for their clients?
We encourage the home buyer because the classes are very popular, and we don't want to tell anyone no.
Mhm.
We actually, sometimes when our classes get big, we have the church that's right across the street, and we use their Family Life Center so we can open the door to anyone.
Mhm.
We've actually had realtors come and take the class with their clients.
Oh, wow.
And that's really good because it lets everybody know they're getting the same information, the same time, and it helps the transition, helps the process of acquiring that home.
Mhm.
But if there's room, what we really like is to hear from real estate partners if they're interested in dedicating their time to promoting and teaching the class.
Oh, yeah.
Many people aren't aware, but the NAACP is a grassroots nonprofit. And what that means is that everyone that you see at the NAACP, they're a volunteer.
Mhm.
So anyone that's teaching the class, that's standing in front of them and dedicating their expertise and professional services, they're doing that free of charge.
Okay. And where can we go to get more information on the course or to sign up for it?
You can sign up for it and find out all about it at naacphouston.org. And if you just click on the link that says sign here or register here, you will be taken to an Eventbrite page where you can register for the class.
Very good. I have to ask because, a lot of what we do here and what I do is help promote things that we have going on as a nonprofit, offering a free class. How do you get the word out?
Well, that sometimes can't. I mean, that I would tell you that out of all of the things that we're tasked to do, that can sometimes be the most challenging because, again, we don't have a lot of resources, but one of the things that we do, social media is where, it's the source of all information these days. So we do have our website, we have a Facebook page, and right now we have radio advertising. So we have some services that were provided to the NAACP advertising services. And right now you can hear about the classes. You can also just go to our webpage and click on the icon for the classes, Homes for Houston, and the calendar will pop up.
Wonderful.
And you can see all the classes that are offered throughout the year. We offer a class every month, and every other month we actually offer 2 classes.
Okay, very good. And I have noticed, and we put the Facebook page up for people to see as well, so they can go check that out. But I've noticed that you guys put up all the events on there as well, which is really helpful because it automatically adds it to your calendar if you say you're going.
And it sends you a reminder.
Yeah, that's very helpful. So what can we as community do to continue the mission of providing homebuyer education and, of course, sustainability?
Sustainability. When I look back and think about what happened in the 2007, 2008 cycle in the mortgage industry, when everything just burst, I think if you really truly care about people, you won't put people in a home that they can't afford. It's one thing to qualify for that first payment, but if the payment's going to adjust or if it's something, the taxes are going to increase, really look at the overall picture and put people in a home that they can afford. And trust me, you'll have a customer for life because if you put them in their first home, they're definitely going to come back to you for that second and sometimes third home.
Very good. So let me take a look at what we have coming in from our members. So I believe you answered this question. Rose said, how often are these classes held? And you said once a month?
The classes are held once a month at the NAACP branch, and that's 2002 Wheeler Avenue. And every other month, so for example, the month of May, we're offering a class twice. We offer a weekday class, which the full class is split over a Monday, Tuesday evening for people when they, I know life is so busy and sometimes to say I can't give you my whole Saturday. So
or they have to work.
Exactly. So we offer the class in the evening. And I'll tell you, the classes, when we looked at our stats, the classes that were held on Monday, Tuesday, that's where a lot of our homeowners came from because those folks were really dedicated and focused. They spent their evening 2 nights in the week and they were ready to go.
Yeah, very good. And Rose actually also said that she wants to volunteer to teach. So how can she go about giving you her information so she can start teaching?
Well, thank you, Rose. What I'd like you to do is just send me an email with your contact information to housing@naacphouston.org, and I'll be in touch and we can see how we get started.
Very good. We got you one more volunteer here.
Good. There you go.
Very good. So several people saying this is very helpful. And we definitely agree. If you have any other questions for Belinda, just type them in and we'll get to them in just a moment. So you mentioned everybody with the NAACP, anybody that you see there, they're volunteers.
Yes.
Long hours.
Yes.
Lots to do. Why do you do what you do?
Well, I believe too much is given, much is expected. So I've had a very good career and I was given the opportunity to work and give back. And now I believe it's my turn to help someone. And I mean, I think that's part of the golden rule. You treat people how you want to be treated. And that's possibly the most rewarding aspect of what we do, is that someone does get to realize the dream of home ownership. And that's the foundational principle of family life. You have your home. That's where traditions start. That's where your children are raised. That's where people have a base, a touchstone in life. So if you help someone get that start in life, you've really helped them in their entire life.
You have. And I have to imagine that the pride that you felt to have 22 people get into homes last year, and then
Yes.
over 50 that were almost there in the
Almost there,
process.
yes.
Very good.
Out of 230, I really had a target of trying to, because we turned 100 last year, the
Mhm.
NAACP Houston branch, my goal was 100 new homeowners, but I'll take the numbers that we had
Yeah.
because I mean, it was really, really rewarding to see someone get their first set of keys. And we always say we're your partners from Class to Keys. And I would like to add too, that's the difference, I think, in our homebuyer education program than others. We don't just teach a class and say, well, here's your certificate, good luck. No, no. When you leave, that's actually module 7.
Mhm.
When you leave the NAACP, that's actually your first step in your relationship with us
Mm.
because we give you actually a roadmap of now here's what you do next. And the first part, which a lot of people don't understand, the first part is actually interviewing a real estate partner. Because if you have a good realtor, they're going to guide you and be with you every step of the way. They're not going to let you apply until you're ready. And when you are ready, they're going to be with you from the application to the closing table.
That's great.
And those are the type of real estate agents that I am so proud of that
Mhm.
are a part of our program.
Very good. So Kim just asked, excuse me, if you could repeat your email address, and then we can also put it up on the screen. as well.
Certainly. Please send me any email information or your contact information at housing, HOUSING, at NAACPHouston.org.
Very good. Ashley's asking, do you have to be a member of the NAACP to sign up for the class?
Actually, no, this class is free and open to the public. But I will tell you, once you complete the class, I'm going to ask you to join.
Very good. And if you missed it, Belinda did mention that, of course, this is open to your clients and customers that need this information, but she also
Absolutely.
mentioned that many realtors come and sit in on the class with their
Mhm.
clients as well, which I imagine is very, very helpful for everybody.
Yes.
All right. Just more people thanking you again that this is very helpful and very good information. Is there anything else that you want to tell us before we, or share with us before we wrap up?
Home ownership is the key to everyone's dream of, or part of the American dream. It's a vital and important civil right. It is so important that we do all we can to increase minority home ownership. It builds and sustains entire communities and neighborhoods and provides our children a base and a place to come back to call home. And many, many people today think that home ownership means that I need to stay right here. I don't need to get a home until I'm ready to settle down and I don't know where my career is going to take me. But that's not the case. Home ownership should be established as early as soon as you get your college degree or while you're in college, because that first home is just that, it's your first home.
Mm.
And then when you're ready for the next home, maybe after you've gotten the dream job or you're ready to settle down or you're getting married, then you go for the next house. And now you've got equity, you've got investment, and you've got resources to get the house that your next house that meets the needs for your life at that point.
Very good. I want to come take your class now. Just a couple more things really quick. Kathy, sorry about that. Kathy was asking, as a real estate agent, what is required to be a part of the program?
Well, you have to be vetted. So we have a committee that actually you have to go through an interview process, because not everyone is a first-time homebuyer real estate agent. We know that you guys have your specialties. And because we believe that the first-time homebuyer is a high-need, high-touch association and partnership, we want to make sure that that's really your niche.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Rashmi's asking, what are the charges to join your membership after the class?
The NAACP is possibly the most affordable membership you will ever have. It's actually $30 a year.
Oh, wow.
So that's less than 1 month of your gym membership. But you now have the advocacy of the NAACP as your resource.
I think people spend more than that on Starbucks in a
I
month,
believe- in a
right?
month. It's-
In a week.
In a
for some
week,
people.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Linda was just asking again where are the classes held. They're held at the NAACP office, and we will provide the links and all of that
Yes.
Belinda mentioned earlier so that you can see that after the fact. Angel just said, thank you, Belinda, for sharing info. Agreed. Everyone deserves a place to call home.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This has been really informative and
Well,
wonderful.
it was my pleasure, and I thank you for having me. Again, this is another way to get the word out.
Yes, absolutely. So next week we will be joined by HPD Senior Police Officer James Sabota. He is very involved with the Positive Outreach Program, all about communities, so kind of similar stuff here. But he will talk to us about some crime stats and things like that as well from HPD, obviously, but really how we can get involved with our community with the Positive Interaction Program. So we'll see you back next week, next Monday at 9 a.m. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.